Hello, hello, sweet souls, and welcome back to another episode of It's All Happening. I'm your host, Molly Rasman, energy healer, international retreat host, which we're going to talk about today. It's a new title we get to put on the resume. And human being, right? I think it can be so easy sometimes to follow somebody on social media or feel really inspired by their work or tune into their podcast and think of them as this like otherworldly, bigger than life thing that's like beyond the human experience. And such a prayer inside of all of my work is to constantly, humbly humanize myself, right? Because the work that I do is very otherworldly and I'm connecting humans back home to their divinity, but all of it with the sole purpose of enhancing our humanity and making human life here on earth more easeful and joyful and expansive and fulfilling and satisfying, right? So as much as I am a healer and a teacher and a speaker and all of these things, I am also first and foremost just a holy fucking human. And that's who you're getting today. I have no agenda. I have no script. I have no points that I want to teach to you about. It's just you and me and a little recap on what has been going on in my life lately. And we'll see what else, the homie G wants to bring through. I am just getting back. I'm about a week back from my first international retreat in Italy, which this has been a dream on my heart for 5 freaking years. Back in 2020, I intuitively signed up for a fully immersive yoga teacher training. It was retreat style. We went away for 12 days. We shared a beach house, and it was one of the most beautiful experiences of my life. I had never experienced anything like it up until that moment. And it cracked me open. And there was a day I was in the outdoor shower at that little pink beach house. There was a rainbow coming in the way that the sun was hitting the water. And I was dancing in the shower and I got full body chills and thought to myself, like, I could do this every day for the rest of my life. I just want to live in this every day for the rest of my life. And I had no idea what that meant then. And it wasn't for another 2 years from that experience until I went on my first all women's healing retreat. And the inspiration came of like, this is what I want to be doing. These are the level of spaces that I want to be holding. They have changed my life. They continue to change my life. And I want to use whatever gifts God has given me to help other women crack open their hearts, their minds, their bodies to fully attune to the divinity that they are so they can come home to wholeness and come home to God within, right? And that seed was planted so long ago. To watch it freaking harvest for the first time this year has been, it's a dream come true, but what I really want to speak to is the reality of what it feels like to have a dream come true, right? It's like in foresight and now in hindsight, I have all of this like jittery butterfly, oh my God, I'm doing this. And now, oh my God, I've done this feeling and sensation. But when I was inside of it, I kept saying to everybody, like the days leading up and even through hosting the retreat, it just felt so normal. It felt like, no duh, this is what I'm doing. No duh, this is the way I'm serving. And there was so much human inside of that experience, right? Just like anything else. I was there to do a job. I was there to work. And what I quickly realized that I did not realize before is that when you are facilitating a retreat, you're working just about 24/7, except for the hours that your eyes are closed, which are not as many hours as my eyes are usually closed when I am at home. I am like a 8 to 10 hour girly, and we were getting like 5 to 6 a night after cleaning up and conversing about what the next day was going to be like and setting everything up for the next day and waking up early to make sure we were the first ones awake, to make sure that the coffee was made and the water was hot and everything was in its perfect place, right? And I have never been so deeply in love with the full spectrum service of other human beings. I think sometimes we think about the idea of being of service is like being in the medicine, right? It's being in the workshops, it's being in the breathwork ceremonies, it's being in the one-to-one energy healing where we're literally utilizing these divine gifts and the divine connection in order to help people move through the things that have gotten stuck in their systems that are making them believe in this illusion of separation. Yeah. But what I came to find was that so much of the service was actually in the making sure everybody had a tea when they needed it, making sure that everybody's bellies were full and they were nourished, doing everybody's laundry in between workshops and folding it and leaving it on their bed so that they literally didn't have a single thing to worry about the entire time that we were there. And this was a learning and a growth experience for me to be in that space, in that role of facilitator, yes, healer, yes, but also like nurturer, mother, right? And those of you who have been listening to this podcast for a while now, you know the journey I have been on in my fertility and the desire to become a mother. And this was like a whole next level awakening to what it means to be in service beyond the medicine that we serve. And it was so beautiful and it was so nourishing and it was so difficult and it was so exhausting. It is so interesting to admit that there are moments, right? In hindsight now, there are moments inside of your dream come true moments that you're still having all the human emotions of like, oh my God, this is so hard, or I'm so tired, or I don't want to do this anymore, or the sticky moments, the moments that don't feel so good, the moments that you're questioning yourself, you're questioning the experience, right? The actualization of our dreams coming true don't actually look and feel anything like the expectation of what we believe it would feel like for said dream to come true, right? Because it's not just the ego high of the satisfaction of how we perceive and believe said thing is going to make you feel, right? No matter what your dream is, it's the real life human experience of it. It's not a projection of it. It's not an illusion of it. It's not a distortion of it. It's the reality of it. And I am taking my sweet time to really integrate and luxuriate in the medicine of that, right? Because some people might listen to that and almost feel this sense of like disappointment around the actualization of their dreams. But for me, it's such a solid reminder that the things we're chasing and building and the dreams we are making come alive inside of our lives aren't the thing that's going to fully satiate us, that's going to make us feel whole, that's going to make us feel complete, that's going to make us feel like our lives finally matter, right? And if you're continuously chasing and building dreams from that place, there's going to be these really rude moments of awakening where you have a dream come true and it feels so normal and you're so human inside of it and it doesn't actually meet the expectation of what you thought it was going to be. And so you're just right on to the next dream, the next thing that you think is going to get you that high that you didn't quite get from this dream come true, but that you might just get if you keep chasing, right? And now I know inside of the work that I do that is just not the truth of any of our human experience. And it brought home for me even harder the importance of doing this work around expanding our capacity to be with the totality of our humanity. I have never had a test of my personal capacity the way that I did on this 7-day retreat pouring into these 6 women. And I am so grateful. I am so grateful in hindsight for all of the time that I've spent trying to make this retreat dream come true. All of the times I failed, all the times I fell on my face, all the times I fell flat and a retreat didn't take off. Thank you, God, because I didn't have the capacity. I didn't have the capacity that I needed then. And I don't just mean capacity in the like manifestation way that people talk about it, of you need to expand your capacity to be able to receive more in your life. I mean the actual fucking nervous system capacity it requires to hold healing space for that many human beings, to hold nurturing space for that many human beings, to be in this motherly role for that many human beings, for the amount of time that we were in this immersive experience together, right? And it makes me laugh and wonder and bow down to, like, laugh and wonder about my own future experience and bow down to the current mothers of children, because that's not just 7 days and you're in and you're out and you're back into your own bubble, right? That's a lifetime of living in that expanded capacity. It's a lifetime of being in that role of healer and nurturer and facilitator, right? Like, you are then in charge of the logistics and the energetic field and the health and well-being of an entire being, and then multiple beings as you have more children, right? And so this is what I've been integrating and contemplating and thinking about ever since that experience, which was so beautiful. The women received so deeply. Jen and I are just over the moon excited for where this retreat business is going to go. We are already in the throes of planning our next experience in Costa Rica in March of 2026. Hint, hint, wink, wink, for anybody that wants to get onto that wait list. And a really, really big thing that it has me contemplating is, where are all of the areas of my life and my business that I'm pouring my energy that it actually doesn't feel good or aligned or true anymore, right? I'm really thinking about, and I need to honor, like, I am not a mother yet. I have absolutely no idea, but it has me deeply contemplating the reorganization of where I am focusing my energy, and where in my life I am still focusing my energy on things that don't matter, or things that don't light me up, or things that I once thought I had to do so that I could be somebody or feel like I was somebody or receive validation around the work that I'm doing in the world, right? And how can I break up with those parts and pieces of my life, pull back that energy, and fully focus my energy on the things that really, truly matter, right? Like this budding retreat business that just lights me up from the inside out, that I am so excited to be immersed in and day out, planning these logistics, connecting with women, inviting women into these spaces, and then getting to watch the sweet and beautiful transformation that happens over the course of this time, right? Another really big area that I'm starting to pull back some of my energy so I can refocus it in this direction is actually finally sitting down and writing my fucking book. I'm like 3.5 chapters into what I believe is going to be a 12-chapter book, and really recognizing and integrating the reality that I had been holding that dream out of reach for myself, because of these places that have been pulling and sucking on my energy that actually don't fucking matter, or that I don't need to be pouring my energy into, or that I don't need to be pouring my attention into so much and so often, right? And as I'm orchestrating this, like, and this is happening like in real time, guys, as we speak. It's not like I've figured it all out and I'm at this like beautiful clarity point. I'm like in the midst of I wouldn't call it a void, but it's like Mm. What's the metaphor we want to bring through about this? Okay. It's like when you finally realize that it's time to clean out your closet, right? And there's shit that you have been holding on to for so many seasons. Like 3 summers ago was the last time that you even thought about wearing that pair of shorts, right? And 4 winters ago was when you, oh my God, got that stain on that sweater that you literally haven't looked at since. But you hold on to these things of like, because just maybe what if for me, it's always like, what if I have some event that I have to go to that's the perfect piece of that outfit that I'm going to need to potentially wear that one time, right? I'm in the closet cleaning season, but it's like, does anybody else do this? When I clean out my closet, I take everything out. Like we make a massive mess in the bedroom. We're taking everything out of the closet, everything off the hangers, all the shoes out. Everything is out off the shelves and it's a fucking mess. And then from that mess, we start deciding like, does this bring me joy? Is this a necessity? Or is it taking up unnecessary space where something new could go? Or where I could just have spaciousness, right? And we decide. That's the phase that I'm in right now, where it's like, it's a mess, but it's an organized mess. And I see the clarity and the cleanliness that we're going to get to on the other side of the mess, but I don't get to decide how long we're in the mess for, right? And one of these things that I'm renegotiating my relationship with right now is Instagram. Does anybody else feel like Instagram is just getting like, I feel like sometimes I go on there and all I hear is the dial-up tone from when we used to go on AOL back in the early 2000s, when it's like you had to hook up to the phone and nothing else could get through while you were on AOL. Like that's the static frequency I feel recently when I am in that space. And I have the creators and the writers and the speakers who are like my tried and true. I love being in connection to their energy, but the space in general just feels very full, and full of a lot of nonsense, full of a lot of stuff that doesn't matter, full of a lot of stuff that I open it up and I'm like, oh my God, please shut up. Like, I don't care. I don't want to see that. I don't want to think about that. I don't want to engage with that. Right. And alongside that, there's the very real reality of the absolute addiction that it has become. It has never been more present in my life. The Pavlovian responses that lead me to my phone and picking up Instagram. Yeah. And it's such a sticky thing when this becomes wrapped into your business, because it's like, well, like everything could be work and everything is content, and there just like is no degree of separation between what you're doing that actually feels genuinely authentic and creative and what you're doing because it's a piece of what you feel like you have to do for business. And is that a thing that actually has to get done for business, or is it just an old way of working and speaking and marketing that you picked up on somewhere freaking 5 or 6 coaches ago that taught you that that's the way that it has to be, right? So I'm in this phase of renegotiating where I am placing my energy and placing my attention. And I feel like it came right off of the back of having this incredible dream come true. It feels silly to say, it feels funny to say in hindsight that like everything inside of this retreat business has been so effortless, that the work has always been fun and playful and joyful, and that it just unfolded in the exact manner that it was meant to, because it has. But at the same time, I can recognize the entire story, the entire arc of the story it's taken me to get to this point where I felt open and receptive enough, and my capacity was wide enough, and I was ready to say yes to a partnership with somebody who felt really, really aligned and true for me, right? Because there's the perspective of the story of this is something that was placed on my heart 5 years ago. There's 2 failed retreat attempts that I had done in the past before I got to this place where this one felt like such a massive, like, fuck yes, success. And again, in hindsight, I see the perfection of God's placement of all of those things in my life, the tripping, the falling, the failing, the learning, the expanding, the healing that has had to happen inside of my own nervous system and inside of my own capacity to, like I said, hold this level of healing and tending and guidance and nurturance for that long of a period of time. And yet, when I'm working inside of this business with Jen, when we're planning these spaces, when we're having conversations with women, when we're putting together pieces of marketing about where it is that we're going and the work that it is that we're doing, every single second of it lights me up from the inside out. There's no part of it that's like, this is feeling really sticky and I don't want to do this. And there are so many other parts of my business, older aspects of my business, that are feeling that way. Older aspects of my life right now that are feeling that way, right? And I just want you, if you're listening to this, to kind of tune into that for yourself. Tune into that analogy of like, is it time for you to clean out your closet? Are there things that you're holding on to with this idea that you might need it someday, or for the fear of letting go? And are those things taking up space for things that are trying to make their way into your life for this next season? Yeah. I just got, right before I sat down to record this podcast, I got off of a leadership coaching call for this really beautiful community that I am a part of. And we were having conversations kind of just like this, just in this realm of what does it look like to pop your current bubble of what you thought life was supposed to look like or it was going to look like, in order to expand your perspective and your vantage point of what is actually possible for you, right? And so I'll give you an example. For me, so long I've been holding on to kind of the way in which I was taught a teaching or coaching business was supposed to look, right? You run master classes, and those master classes lead into your bigger experiences, be it one-on-one coaching or masterminds or whatever else it is that you're doing. And for the longest time, I have had this deep call on my heart that, like, I really just want to be writing and holding in-person spaces and trusting that the right people, when they are meant to, are going to come through and ask me about my one-to-one work. And then those get to just be like a little icing on the cake, because I'm only ever working really closely one-to-one with like 2 to 3 people at a time, right? And no longer feeling this forceful, like, see me, look at what I do, look at why you need it. Here's all your pain points and all the things that hurt about your life. Let me sell you your pain so I can package it up and prove to you that I'm the one who's going to fix it. That's been feeling so icky to me, if I'm 100% honest, like since the beginning of time in my business. I have said for so long, like, I just want to be the healer. I just want to hold sacred space. I just want to hold space for nervous systems to unravel, for bodies to complete these cycles and spirals of energy that they have been held in for so long. I just want to do the work I came here to serve. I don't actually want to do the whole monkey song and dance of marketing on Instagram, which some of you might like. That might be hard to believe for some of you, right? Because I've been doing it. I've been doing it for years because I felt like I had to. I felt like I had to do that in order to have the sustainable amount of income and clients and business that was also being marketed to me from every which angle inside of the coaching industry. And I'm in this season right now of dissolving, unwiring, rewiring, like all of that shit that I once learned so that I can anchor into the truth of what is authentic for me inside of actually creating and living into a sustainable life that feels like freedom, right? The name of our retreat business is Living Liberated. We are literally teaching women tools and strategies and lifestyle practices to get inside of their bodies, get inside of their nervous systems, see the stories that are wrapped up in that space so that they can begin to unwind and dissolve and open and create more space, right? Expand their capacity inside of their nervous systems, and then integrate that way of being, touching into their hearts and like what feels real and true for you and what would feel so juicy and beautiful for you to do and be and breathe into inside of your life, no matter what that is, no matter what that looks like. And I'm really being initiated. I'm noticing this right now as I'm talking to you guys, I'm really being initiated into like, are you going to live what it is that you are preaching and teaching? Are you ready to let go of all of the things that you thought you had to be or you thought you had to do, and only focus your energy and your awareness on the things that fully light you up from the inside out, while simultaneously getting really serious about pouring that same level of love and nurturance that I just did into these women for this past week, into myself, into my home, into my husband, into my fertility, and into, pray it with me, y'all, this baby that I know is going to come into our lives this year, right? We're claiming it. We're claiming it right here. Our prayers to God's ears, to that little baby that's ready to come down. And I want to bring this full circle into how important it is for us to be in relationship and assessment with where we are focusing our energy and our attention and the beliefs that we are allowing to lead the way, right? Because I've had this belief for so long that it's like, oh, these things are feeling so daunting and sluggish, and like I'm pushing up against this very heavy wall when I'm doing this whole aspect of my business, right? And pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing in this way that it isn't actually quite working. It's not really quite landing. It's just not quite happening for me in the way that I would have once expected it to. How much energy I am using by pushing up against this thing that isn't meant for me. And how much energy actually gets cleared and how much spaciousness actually gets cleared when I allow myself to dismantle the beliefs that say you have to do it this way, and allow myself to begin to lean into the belief that I can just be a writer and a healer and an international retreat host. And I can just pour my energy and my intention into the things that light me up from the inside out. I can build a sustainable, nourishing, abundant life by doing that. And if anything, actually, it's going to be so much easier to do that. Energy is going to flow so much more freely when I do that than when I am incessantly pushing up against these old ideas and old identities and working so hard to make something that is so clearly not lighting me up anymore work. Because another perspective I want to land here for any of y'all who are resonating with this, right? Who are feeling like, oh yeah, shit, there are some old ideas and identities and perspectives and expectations that I'm holding for myself that just don't actually resonate with the authenticity of who I am anymore, right? What are you pushing up against in your life right now that's just no longer a fit? That's no longer true? And what are the old ideas and beliefs and identities that you created around that one that it once felt true, that you have to look at and you have to nurture and you have to grieve and you have to let go? Yeah. And if you're feeling really resonant with this, right? I again want to reiterate, like, I'm coming to you from being in the organized chaos of it all right now. And I'm feeling the tendrils of truth. right? Where my energy should be focused, where it needs to be focused, where I'd like to focus it. And I'm feeling the resistance of letting go of the places where my energy is no longer needed. It's no longer true. It's no longer authentic. And speaking into the reality that it's not just as quick as like recognizing it and making a decision, right? Because we have neural pathways and patterns of ways that we're ordinarily operating that make us feel safe inside of our lives, right? So right now I'm bumping up against the neural pathways that have been created over the past 4 years of doing business this one certain way, or this trajectory of where I thought of what I thought was going to be the thing, right? That's another piece I'll get into in a minute. Now it's like unwiring all of that and allowing myself to feel into the ease and the expansion and the abundance that's actually existing inside of this partnership and this retreat business and the community that we're building. And the spaciousness that's freeing up for me to lean into being even more of the wife and the homemaker and the mother that I actually desire to be. That was so ignited. Like I never would have expected that, right? It was so, I got so lit up on retreat, literally by doing loads of laundry, by folding laundry and putting it on their beds and knowing that they were going to come into their rooms at night and see that their laundry was just done for them. It was so enlivening for me to feel that part of myself come online on the spaciousness of this retreat, and now integrating, allowing that part of myself to be nurtured now that I'm home here in my day-to-day life. How do I keep pouring into her? How do I keep pouring into others from her, right? And I've been talking for so long about the next chapter of my life being motherhood. And it feels so beautiful and so nourishing and so interesting to me to be having this massive realization about the energy that absolutely I've always known, but it's like, you know, and now I'm like feeling it, needs to be cleared so that you can lean into fully being mother, right? And the capacity that I have been building over the past 5 years through my healing, through nervous system expansion, through the somatic processes, through the purging and the releasing of all of these old, outdated ideas and identities and areas of separation and areas I couldn't receive or give love fully in my life, right? And now I see so clearly that all that space has been being created for this next evolution that gets to be a business that lights me up from the inside out, that nourishes and helps heal women in the way I always knew I was meant to. The spaciousness to sit in coffee shops and write beautiful words that inspire people, which was the day.dream. If you guys have been listening to this podcast for a while, or you've been following me for a long time, you know that like my original business dream was I want to help people heal, and I want to work every day from a coffee shop. And like that dream has never died. That is still a seed that was planted that I'm now seeing in this like full circle way coming into fruition, and creating the spaciousness and the expansiveness to actually feel safe inside of the transition into motherhood that I have been praying over for the last 4.5 years. Yeah. So I'm curious for you, if you're listening to this, what are some of the areas for you? Can you do a closet overhaul of your life? Is it time? Is everything working really swimmingly? Are you in one of those pockets of great expansion and creativity where you're feeling really lit up by everything that you're doing? Or are you feeling like you are incessantly kind of pushing up against this brick wall that is so heavy and it's not moving? And instead of trying to continue to push it, or convince yourself that there's something wrong with you, that there's something more that needs fixing inside of you so that you can be strong enough to move an immovable wall, is there spaciousness for you to take a look around at where you have been focusing your awareness and your energy and your attention, and refocus? Find spaciousness. Access that ease and that liberation that you've been trying to feel by just mowing down that brick wall. Like, if I could just get to the other side of that brick wall, I will finally feel free. What is your brick wall? What are the old, outdated articles of clothing that have got to go? And this is a beautiful season to do that inside of, right? Like harvesting what was really working. What really, really, really worked for you this year? What still feels really, really good from the seeds that you sowed in the beginning of the year? What's coming to fruition and making you feel so alive that you actually want to harvest those seeds and plant the same thing next year, right? And what didn't work out so well? What is time? What weeds need to be pulled? What plants are you not going to be planting again next year? And can you allow yourself to feel safe in that? Can you allow yourself the opportunity to shift your perspective, to renegotiate where you are placing your energy and your awareness and your attention, and to trust? Y'all know I couldn't get through a soul episode without talking about God. And trust in the guidance that God is always giving you, that is leading you to that highest and brightest and most service-filled, open-hearted, liberated life that you are actually desiring to live. Yeah. A little bit of healing, a little bit of faith, a little bit of reorganizing. And I promise you, something that I know is that through the chaos and through the void and through the things that feel really painful and really uncertain, and through all of the questioning of what's wrong with me, why isn't it working for me, you are continuously, constantly, always being lovingly redirected into what is actually for you. And if you can expand your nervous system's capacity to sit in the center of your heart and actually trust the things that it is telling you, that's where you will see magic manifest effortlessly inside of your life. That's where you will see 5-year-long dreams beginning to come true and getting to live inside of that dream come true. And recognize that when you're inside that dream come true, it's not the external thing that is going to make you feel better about yourself and your life. It's the work that you did inside of your system to have the capacity to be able to hold it. It is the person that you get to become. And something I am celebrating so deeply on the other side of this retreat is that capacity, is the healer that I am, the woman I've become, the creative I've become, and the devotee to God that I have become. The safety that I have built inside of my system to hear those calls, to feel those seeds, to plant them and water them and watch them grow. Yeah. I think that might be all I got for you guys today. I don't know. Was that a life update? I think it was a life update. Is there anything else going on in my life? I'm learning. Okay. Something that I'm doing post-retreat, part of my integration. Let's go here for a minute. We asked all of the women, as always, when you go through a really expansive experience, yes, the experience offers you new perspective and allows you to live into the expansion of the possibility of a new reality, but then you go home and you have to integrate, right? And what are the things that you are doing to integrate who you met yourself as when you were on retreat? Who I met myself as, who we're talking about right now, is not only this like badass healer, international retreat business owner, I am her. And also this nurturing, loving, motherly side of myself that I've been talking about and praying over and asking God to please give me the babies. I can become the mother. I touched into her on retreat. So a part of my personal integration, even though I was not the one receiving on this retreat, there is always magic and medicine in any immersive experience we ever place ourselves in, whether we are on the end of receiver or facilitator. So a part of my integration is bringing that home. I'm cooking more. I'm learning new recipes. I'm redirecting some of the energy I used to endlessly spend scrolling on social media into learning how to make soup. This past week, I made a chili. I made a butternut squash soup today that y'all, okay, this is going to be another kind of funny, it's a real life story, but also acts as a metaphor for what it actually feels like to integrate into these new ways of being inside of ourselves, right? So I got the bright idea to make butternut squash soup. It's October. We're in fall season. I fucking love a butternut squash soup. And I'm like, and I'm becoming domesticated. So let's try on playing soup witch. And I was so excited about making my butternut squash soup. I made the spaciousness in my day today. That's like a part of my thing. I'm like blocking out time to like just be in my home and do home things instead of always being in business and social media mode. And I'm cooking my soup. It's coming out great. Everything's smelling awesome. But there's a point when you're making butternut squash soup that then you have to put it into a blender. My lovely in-laws gave us their old blender so that I could be in my soup witch season because we didn't have a blender. And I pour said soup into the blender. The blender doesn't have any like levels to it. It's just like power, smoothie, and like pulse were like the three. So I just hit power and I'm holding the thing down and it fucking exploded all over my kitchen. I'm like, okay, yeah, like that was stupid. I put too much soup in the blender. So I like halved it. I poured half of it out. I put the thing back on. I think we're going to be good to go. I hit it again. It explodes again after I had already fully cleaned up the kitchen the first time. And this time it exploded into the cabinets. It's all over my bowls, all over my plates, all over the inside of the cabinet door. It's across the kitchen, all over the wall by the coffee machine. And another nod to my expanded nervous system capacity, I just laughed at myself. I laughed at myself and the hysterical reality of what it looks like when we are learning into a new archetype and a new way of being inside of our lives. And the soup came out fucking fire. So can you handle both aspects of reality? Can you handle the desire to grow into more of a certain archetype inside of your life, more of a certain role, more of a certain way of being? And can you handle being a beginner at that and sucking at it and making mistakes and making a mess and laughing at yourself and cleaning it up and tasting the soup and knowing that it is so delicious and it was so worth it? And that next time, maybe you won't make as big of a mess, but even if you do, you have the capacity to handle it. You can handle a mess. You can laugh in your mess. Yeah. And that is a serious, serious nod to the why behind the work that I do, the why behind the work of this retreat business, the why behind the work that Jen does, and the passion that we have for holding these spaces to not just have you have these massive cathartic experiences where then you go home and nothing actually changes, but where you actually get the tools, the education, the technology, and the integration to live into that expanded nervous system capacity that is the gateway to you tuning into your own intuition, your own heart, your own guidance system, your direct line to God, so that you can receive and start living into that guidance that is always here for you, but that's been really clogged up by all of the illusions and distortions of separation and the wounds that have come from that place, right? Like that's the level of work that I am obsessed with doing in my life, in my one-to-one spaces, and that is the cornerstone of this incredible fucking business that we are in the process of building and expanding. If any of this resonated with you, if you are feeling super called to be loved up on and nurtured and held and initiated into the next level version of who you know you came here to experience yourself as, I'm going to put the wait list down in the show notes. By the time this comes out, we might actually be like full launching it in Costa Rica. But for the ladies who get on the wait list, excuse me, y'all are going to be the only ones who get the fast action bonus to sign up before November 1st. You'll save $500 off of this experience. And y'all, some of y'all have probably already seen me geeking out about this house that we found and the breadcrumbs God left in order for me to find this place. Italy was fucking incredible. And we have devoted ourselves to ensuring that each experience is just going to get better and better and better and better and better. And this space is the jungle home of my dreams. And y'all know my relationship to Costa Rica. Like, you're going to get Costa Rica Molly in Costa Rica. So get your ass on that wait list. Reach out to me directly if you're like, I got to be there. Here, take my money. It's time. And if you are seeking any certain level of support in your own healing, in your own awakening, and expanding your nervous system's capacity, I do have 2 spaces available right now for 6-month deep dive one-on-one work where we are not just going in and clearing up the energy in your field. We are actually getting into your spirit, your psyche, and your soma, touching on all of the levels and layers of healing so that you are actually transformed, so that your nervous system capacity actually fully expands to be able to hold more of life, to be able to hold more of you, to be able to hold more of those dreams and allow yourself to be the vessel that they come true through. I love you guys. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you on the next episode.